I was, I'm actually running to the supermarket because I want to get some. You ever just have like the desire for some cereal? I don't even eat cereal like that, but I just wanted like some like Captain Crunch or something. Anyway, so drive time. So I was listening to Chez Charde's video with Courtney, Michele, and some guy named Austin. And judging by the comments, Austin is 23 years old. So he's a zillennial. And, I'm listening to him speak. And what's blowing my mind is, when I came online, you know what I mean? Like, this guy was a little kid. He may have been like, you know, 5 years old or something like that, somewhere around there. And I warned about this. I warned about, the future generation of young men, that are gonna, they're gonna walk away. I warned about that because he had no desire. Like, he's like, look, like his mind was already made up on the SYSBM passport, bro. And like, you could hear like the pain in Courtney's voice. You could hear the sadness. Like, she's like, hey, we got to do this. But no, I really don't think that the willingness is there. Especially with younger black men. I warned about the shit. I warned about that whole 300 black man model of you owe us. Like, I've been said, I'm like, that doesn't work. It doesn't hold water. I mean, aside from it being grossly unfair. So it's like every previous generation, their relationships are all fucked up. People making piss poor choices, all this shit, and then you're gonna dump it on, black males that were born in the 90s or in the early 2000s. That you're gonna put the whole responsibility of fixing the community on them, right? Because they're really the generation that essentially matters at this point in terms of, they got their whole future ahead of them. It's totally, it's so messed up. But this is, what people, what they argue. I've already known that it wasn't going to work that way. Between, just even listening to her talk about, stealing black men back and all this other stuff, because brothers are really, especially, younger guy. I don't know exactly what's going on with the zillennials, but I've said before, I've made videos before, that the zillennials literally have zero use for a black woman. None. You know what I mean? Like you talking about a generation that cannot be shamed. You can't even be shamed. Not even that the shame was valid points. You know what I mean? But at least, like, it's like you kind of know what it should be. We had a woke moment in the 90s and shit like that. Like, I remember that. Right? But even the generation before, like Cap's generation, he at least saw the remnants of an intact, thriving black community, like where there were black businesses and stuff like that. He at least saw the remnants of that. I didn't see any of that. The idea of what you see with the black community in the 1920s, that's some shit I gotta go into a library and dust off a book, or find black and white photos on the internet. I've never seen that. I've never seen an all intact, thriving black town with a tailor's and a black bank and a black supermarket and a black florist and a black bridal shop and all on the main street. I've never seen that. I don't know what that shit looks like. It's just some hypothetical. And we're gonna put that all on the shoulders of a bunch of 20-year-olds. That's just crazy to me. Yeah, with this decentralized gig economy, you'll see black men that are hitting numbers that black men of the past could only dream of due to social media. You're gonna see that, you're not gonna. What you're not gonna see is you're not gonna see a bunch of brothers that that are in the gig economy that are gonna be able to go off and form a community. You know, communities are formed when you have an industry and everybody's got to live like on location at a particular spot, whether they work at the docks, whether they work at a factory or something, and then there's neighborhoods that are built around that. A gig economy doesn't facilitate that. A gig economy facilitates, one brother out of every 1,000 that has a Lambo because he's a YouTube star or because he's, buy my merch and all that shit. Like that's what that shit facilitates. So you will see more black men in prominent positions, of status and wealth, but that's about it. Communities are built off of, the whole, like a foundation, like the whole growth and expansion of America moving west and shit. In the Mississippi River, and hey, we can transport goods down the Mississippi River, and we can transport crops down the Mississippi River, and so we got a town here, and a town here, and a town here. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a process in terms of why cities are located where they are located. It's not just a matter of you just arbitrarily, spin a globe and with a blindfold on and just point on a map and say, we will start a community here. There's got to be a pull. There's got to be a booming economy, which we don't have. And that's the crazy part of putting that on the shoulders of these young men without a booming economy. At least the men of the past, there was racism, there was all that shit and whatnot, but I'm saying it was still a booming economy. There was still manufacturing going on. A man could graduate high school, walk into a factory, get a unionized job, and make a living, purchase a home, raise a family. Aside from the fact that, the whole, y'all need to build shit. It's a busy assignment. I don't know how many times I have to say it. It's a busy assignment. The women have already expressed ad nauseum that they don't fundamentally believe in the patriarchal setup. So building is not going to get these women to fall in line. It's not. Because they believe, that's a flawed structure. Again, if you're looking for power, offering a woman a position of privilege, offering her to be the queen of Zamunda, the queen is under the king. They don't want that. So again, nothing that you offer them, if a woman is seeking power or a woman is seeking equality or parity with you as a man who is protecting and providing, nothing that you offer her, is going to satisfy what she's actually looking for. It's a position of privilege. It's not a position of power. Being a wife is a position of privilege. It's not a position of power. It's the same thing I said when it came to the white supremacists and the Jared Taylor. I'm like, okay, who wants to give up power? Okay, well then it's not a meritocracy. Spare me on the meritocracy talk. Because if you're trying to maintain power, then there is no let the best man win or let the best woman win and they get to be, head of the company or something like that. No, because you always want the company to be in your control. Because you look at the other person as an other. You don't look at it like, oh, let's make all of this more efficient because we're all Americans and may the best person get the position. No, that's not how maintaining power works. Maintaining power is, regardless of whether somebody is better than I am and can make a process more efficient, I still want to be in control. That's what power is. So these women have expressed enough that they don't want that. This has already been beat like a dead horse. That what a lot of these women want is they want to basically, have a man be independently wealthy and then be able to control his wealth. And then say that she's his equal, even though he's the one providing a lifestyle for her. And then she'll take, whatever she has, and then claim, well, because I can provide for myself independent of you, I don't have to get with the okay, well, why do you need a rich dude then? Well, it needs to be hypergamy. Well, why does it need to be hypergamy if you got your own then? Why can't he go off and get with a woman that's really going to appreciate what he's got going on because she's dependent on it? And then they'll make arguments about, oh, how that's oppressive and everything else. I mean, it's sad because, and that's another thing, like I keep trying to tell this to women. I'm like, we know you more than you know us. And y'all don't get that. Many of us have been raised in matriarchal households. We've seen you operate. We've seen you function. And many of us, if not the majority of us, don't like that shit. Many of us grew up with overbearing mothers. And yes, when it comes to other races of women that, grew up in their femininity, in other men's fucking patriarchies, because they have less of an issue with it than with black women as a concept. Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air when you get around that Spanish chick, and when you get around that white chick, and when you get around that Asian chick, and when you get around that Arab chick or that Indian chick. Minus the obvious racism and colorism, if you can get past that, it's like a breath of fresh air. But, when dealing with sisters, they think it's supposed to be matriarchy all the way. That's a quote, by the way, matriarchy all the way. They want to question a black man every time he makes a decision. They want to doubt you. I don't know what the draw is for sisters other than you're just purely physically attracted to them and that's it. Because the whole concept of the idea that somehow we get this level of treatment from sisters that we can't get anywhere else, that's total bullshit. You get more drama from sisters. Way more drama. Way more attitude. You get a whole bunch of a doubt, and it makes me even question, like, why do you even want to be with a brother? And then the part that really confuses me is it's like they can quickly identify like a street nigga or a pookie from a lame, right? But then they hit you with, as a non-street dude, they hit you with all this doubt, right? And I understand the doubt when it comes to the pookies, but they hit you with all this doubt. And it's like, how I want to say this. They hit you with all this doubt, despite the fact that they've already recognized you as a not pookie or not a pookie. And a lot of it has to just do with the fact that, like, they gotta find some way to beat you down, to knock you down a few pegs. You can't be, an awesome black man. You can't, like, it's like they feed off of negativity. They feed off of shit being broken and shit being dysfunctional, even when it's not dysfunctional. You know what I mean? Ain't a black woman alive that could call up and say, hey, it's rape. Pete raped and pillaged me. It was rape and pillage. He mistreated me. He called me out of my name. He put his hands on me. But that's what y'all be dealing with when you deal with, a lot of these, pookie type black men. And then the crazy part is there's virtually no demands that are made on these men. Y'all be talking about fix the community, clean up the community, literally while you have his dick in your mouth. You over there sitting on his lap talking about you need to check him and address him because he did something that I didn't like. I'm like, chick, you're literally sitting on his lap. I can't even get to him because you're in the way. And then you really got to think about how stupid and silly you look, when you sitting there addressing some other dude about a behavior that she claims that you need to check him and all this other stuff. But I'm like, but you like this dude because of the whole package that is him and his rebelliousness and his non-conformity. But you want somebody else to come through with the cape on, dun, 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 and then come rescue you, and you ain't sucking his dick, you ain't sitting on his lap. I mean, what is the incentive? I mean, where is it? Pussy is some superficial bullshit, but I'm just saying pussy ain't even on the table. I mean, you just get nothing but criticism. You need to do this, even though we're not getting with you. You need to do this if you want to get your respect. But you don't respect the order. You don't respect the process. We already established that. You want your relationships to be this, patriarchy to matriarchal specifications where somehow the man is the breadwinner and he's paying for everything and buying you Birkin bags, but at any given time you can freaking just change your mind and say no and give all this pushback and shit like that. You know what I mean? On just being disagreeable just to be disagreeable. If it's some major shit, yeah, I'm not saying you can't disagree, but when you're recognized to be disagreeable just for the sake of being disagreeable because you want to demonstrate how much power you have in the relationship to shut shit down and disrupt shit, nah, you're not the type of bitch that a black man who's trying to get somewhere needs to be with. You know what I mean? And trying to come through with some, community complaint filings, like that ain't gonna hold water. That ain't holding shit. Like I said, like y'all don't know us. You know what I mean? You may know Pookie. You know what I mean? But you don't know black men that are not Pookies, not in the streets. You don't know us. It's another reason why you don't like respect the standards and shit like that. Y'all think y'all can come any old type of way with babies, with weight. And that's another thing. Don't get me started on the goddamn weight. You fucking, other women out here making asses, working out, getting their physicality right. I mean, all y'all do is swipe through Instagram and look at all these chicks built like a motherfucker. I'm like, y'all don't even have a monopoly on that shit no more. It's like, I mean, seriously, like, you start looking around, you're like, what is left? Chicks already got somebody else's fucking kids. They got fucking bad attitudes. They're not working out. They don't even think that they should have to work out or maintain themselves. My cookies is worth it, Kevin. My cookies is worth it. And it's sad, when we want to talk about like what's going on collectively, not individually. I mean, I don't think Courtney Michele is gonna. I don't think she's gonna be. I don't know if she's off the market, but I don't think she's gonna be off the market for very long. You know what I mean? She seems to have her head on straight. You know what I mean? But when we're talking like this general broad characterization of the relationship between black men and black women and whatnot, and again, the fact that you have women who only want a very small percentage of the population, and they don't want the dudes that are doing all the passport bros shit. A majority of those guys they don't want. There's only a handful of the guys that are in there that are like, that are like, what's the guy's name? The fucking Odell Beckham and shit like that. Like, like they have like the swag and they're tall and they're muscular and they got money in it. That's a infinitesimally small number of dudes. There's a lot of Marcus Brownlees, in that population that are talking about going abroad and everything. Yeah, hey, I try to encourage them to work out and everything else like that, but for a lot, it's not their thing. You know what I mean? And the extremes that you have to be in the black community to meet some of this criteria is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? You gotta have uber game. You gotta have uber muscles. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have uber money. Like, you can't, it's like regular just ain't, it ain't even cutting it. Even when it's fairly decent. And the crazy thing is, it's like black women's economic numbers are not hitting like that. So like all these crazy expectations and shit like that, some of the shit is just, I'm like, you've been hanging out on social media a little bit too long. Cause your shit is just, it's just way out there. It's way out there. And then you get a guy that's literally by normal people standards, he's kicking ass. And she gonna come through and doo-doo on it. She just gonna doo-doo on it. I'm like, this shit is insane. You know, and that's another thing, like, black men are not out of their fucking minds. Not when you see how you have all these fucking all these channels of freaking, just white men just laying the shit out. We're not out of a lot of this shit is universal. Because it's all stems from fucking Western society. We all live underneath the same Western society. It's not like it's just, oh, it's white women and this shit and black women and this shit. No. But due to the historical differences, there are huge gaps in why, things are worse on the black side than they are on the white side. Some of the shit is comical to us. The type of shit that you hear white women complaining about. And it's like, bitch, you sleep next to power. Fuck are you bitching about? But like I told you, being a wife is a position of privilege. It's not a position of power. So even a lot of aspects of white supremacy, is about, white men and white women fighting over who gets to be in control of white supremacy. Which, I mean, that's not even a battle. You know what I'm saying? Like if men wanted to go out there and purge a bunch of fucking women, you know what I mean? We all know the men's ability to be violent. Like, I don't even know why women talk the shit that they do. But then again, when you got movies coming out of women, freaking, doing, judo, flips, Street Fighter Ken rolls and shit and throwing a dude, and landing on a box or some shit like that, and she's only 120 pounds and she's throwing 250-pound men over her shoulder and shit. Like, oh, hell yeah, you get women that be fucking delusional and think that, they can do all that crap. We can take men on. You know what I mean? I'm like, and these would be the same ones calling the cops. These would be the same ones screaming, we need gun control, not realizing that if they were trying to be equal to men physically, a firearm would actually allow them to do that. So that they don't even, a lot of them, they're just talking shit. They don't even understand how to be real about the rhetoric that they talk about. If women were real serious about, true equality and wanting to, smack down and challenge men whenever fucking men raise their ugly head, there would be nothing but a bunch of women talking about Second Amendment. But instead they go, we need a violence protection act against women. They're like, what? We need a what is it? The Prevention of Violence Against Women Act or some shit like that. Like, yes, that's what we need. Why don't you get a gun? I don't like guns. It's like, what? Well, I'm saying if you really wanted to protect yourself, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of talking about bullshit. It's a lot of rhetoric about bullshit. Literal bullshit. But it's sad because, like I said, the black men know black women because we were raised by black women. A lot of black women don't know black men because you weren't raised by black men. So in terms of, this whole relationship, a lot of black men they got the upper hand on that shit. Because they know the type of shit that y'all do. They see, look, a man is going to turn out one of two ways. He's either going to be a beta male simp coming out of a matriarchal household, or he's going to know every fucking trick in the trade when it comes to women. How is a woman going to pick that up? How is a woman going to know the type of manipulative shit that men, do and learn how to, adjust and adapt to it and everything else? How is she going to know if she doesn't grow up, with her father and seeing that? And seeing those type of interactions and shit like that. Shit that, there'll be days where she, agrees with her father and feels protected by her father. But then there'll be other days where maybe her father tries to pull a fast one on the mother, and the father, and she sees that. And she's like, I know what you did because my father used to do the same thing with my mother. See, See, we know about that shit because a lot of that manipulation, you'll say, well, if you're raised by a woman and you don't know about her interaction with men, yeah, but we know about her interaction with us. You know what I'm saying? Because we're boys. You know what I mean? After a boy turns about 13 years old, she can't overpower us. You know what I'm saying? We always get that at about 13 years old. She comes in there, drop your pants. She brings out her belt and shit like that, and she tries to fucking hit you, and then you freaking catch the belt, and you sitting there and you looking at the belt in your hands, and you like, wait a minute. She's like, give me this belt. She's trying to fight back, and you like, it's not moving. I am powerful. You know, like you just sitting there looking at the shit, and then she realizes she can't do anything with you at that point. She can't beat your ass anymore. And then typically what they do, you need to go live with your father. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden now you ain't a cute boy anymore. Now you an adolescent, disgusting teenager that can't be controlled, and you ain't nothing but trouble. But when you were 12, oh, isn't he just adorable? But as minute you turn 13, all of a sudden, you know, you're Satan incarnate. Again, like we know y'all. We're familiar with you all and the shit that y'all do. And then on top of that, for many of the women that already went out here and had children and sons, all of us have seen it. All of us have seen these women that, like, when it comes to their sons, they're just emasculating them, and they don't know what to do with the boy. And I see, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, man, by the time he gets about 17 or 18, he's gonna be so fed up with his mother. And the sad thing is like, that's his representation of a black woman, is his mother. Y'all love to say, yeah, your mother's black, your mother's black. Y'all love to say that. But what if your mother was terrible? What if your mother was a manipulating ass bitch? Or what if you found out that your mother was a hoe? You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta play it. I gotta edit the shit and play the video of my man breaking down the whole situation, you know, with his mother and shit like that. You know, even down to, like, you know, dudes knowing about you guys fucking their mother. Like, I'm fortunate. I don't know of any other dicks that have been inside my mother other than my father. But there's a lot of black men out here. Y'all talking about respect the black woman, respect the black queen. Y'all be talking all that shit. But I've heard more than enough stories from all these black men, you know, the 76% of black children, 86% of black children that are born out of wedlock. And y'all still be out here fucking with your sons in the house. And these young men they know what you doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know what's going on. Or when they get older, they recognize what's going on. Like, yeah, that motherfucker was in there fucking my mom. You know what I mean? How can you put your mom up there with Jesus like most people do, and you recognizing, yeah, this motherfucker was in there banging my mom out. He didn't give a fuck about me. He was just in there banging my mom out until he got tired of it. You know what I mean? What does that do to a black male psyche? But y'all, I'm lonely. I want to be with somebody. And the fact that you fucking a dude with your son at home, with this other man comes over, demonstrates that he's dusty. Why don't he take you over to his spot? Why don't y'all get a hotel room? Why is he fucking you at your place with your son in the house? And your son can hear the shit. Why? Tell me why. Why is this going on? It demonstrates, like, the caliber of woman that you are, who you dealing with and shit like that. And this shit is pervasive in the black community. Y'all get mad when people bring it up, but this is pervasive in the black community. No black man is up here disputing that we have Dusties and Ray Rays and Pookies in the fucking community. But y'all don't want those men that are not that. And then you try to hide behind, well, y'all ain't build nothing, and y'all ain't this and y'all ain't that. And the only way we would fall in line is if y'all put something to get. No, that's bullshit. Because you don't like the setup. You don't like the power dynamic. So stop trying to make it about that. Because it's not about that. Y'all just, you like what you like. You're attracted to that's fine. But even for me, like, I have a hard time with the whole idea, like, okay, you all talk about community and you shame about community all the time, but you don't even link up with the dudes that even have the capability and the mindset of being community focused. And you out there, fucking with them. And then you come online and you file all these complaints. And talk about, these men need to build, and you don't like the power dynamic, and you're not attracted to the dudes that even have the capability or the skill set or the mindset to rectify the community. Because there's a whole bunch of discipline in there. There's a whole bunch of, you can't do whatever the fuck you want to do. I'm saying if a man that is a part of the discipline to repair a community, he can't do whatever the fuck he wants to do. He's obligated to the situation. And there's certain things, as a woman, you're obligated to the situation. But y'all don't want that. Y'all want freedom, which is why you run over there and you run with Pookie, because he's not holding you to the same standards. He's not putting the same expectations on you. It's just like, damn. But y'all don't get that. And I said it before. I said it to Statuesque One and Humble Queen. I'm like, look, if you want to sit there and you want to slam us and say, oh, we're fucked up, and that, the next generation of boys, they're gonna be different because we're gonna raise them, to worship the black woman and all this other shit. Okay, well, another generation has passed. And the Zillennials have spoken. The Zillennial black males have spoken. And they're not going for it. So I'm like, so either your teaching is fucked up or the whole dynamic is fucked up in terms of what I said about what the bullshit you're selling, nobody would go for. Forget race. Nobody would go for that. You want power, you want control, you want say, but all he gets is responsibility in a vacuum. No rewards, no acknowledgement, because, oh, God forbid, that creates a hierarchy. We can't have hierarchies. Just because you did X, Y, and Z doesn't make you better. I'm like, God damn, talk about just removing all of the just even the little carrots and the little trinkets and the little tiny rewards that little pat on the back, like just completely removing that. We already know that you ain't getting on your knees or sitting on this dude's lap. We already know he's not even getting that. But he can't even get the acknowledgement. He can't even get the Man of the Year award because some feminists would jump up and say, oh my God, Man of the Year award, that sounds misogynistic. It's like, oh my God. For real? I told y'all like the worst government in the world in terms of recruiting soldiers and shit. You don't want to give out no medals. You don't want any freaking acknowledgement for dudes doing positive things that y'all say that y'all want and desire and need and everything. Y'all don't want to do none of that. None of it. And then, for the men that actually die in battle and sacrifice themselves and shit like that, y'all, you don't even want, you just want to take their bodies and throw them into a mass grave. You don't even want to, give them like a Arlington cemetery. You don't even want to give them a 21 gun salute. None of that shit. Why do you think the whole stepdaddy thing is completely died? Why do you think the younger generation of men say, man, that is a thankless ass job? The younger generations, they don't have to go through that because they've already seen how thankless it is. You know what I'm saying? And once you build a reputation of that, in other words, like, black women have built the reputation of somebody that doesn't pay their debts back, like somebody who doesn't pay anybody back. Once that gets around, nobody's gonna fuck with you. Nobody's gonna lend you money. Nobody's gonna deal with you in good faith because your reputation is lousy. And again, I know what y'all gonna say. Well, black men's reputation is lousy. Not the ones that are not fucking with you. Not the ones that you don't want any goddamn way. And it always seems to be this, like, I'm like, these are not even the guys that you want. Like, what is with all these videos, passport bros, bitching against passport? What is the complaint? Steve Urkel got on a plane and went to fucking Barbados. So? And? It wasn't like you were getting ready to sit on Steve Urkel's cock. I mean, seriously, what is the issue? I'm trying to understand, what's the issue? Explain that to me. Explícame. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video because that's Cap hit me up. Let me end this video. I just watching that video and that shit was fucked up. Anyway, I'm out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.